Back in '86, it was a very good year. Unicron drew near. Dinobots kicked some rear. Oh yeah, check him out looking all heroic and stoic and stuff. I'm finally doing it. I'm finally actually getting around to doing one of these 86 Dinobot figures. His deco, I do think, is just a little bit plain. He is really cool looking, and just having another figure this size with this kind of like presence, it is really dope. But once that initial like, oh my god, it's another Dinobot high kind of wears off, you're a bit like, oh, you're very background noise, aren't you? It's just a very flat finish. I think this whole deco could have been enhanced by having this be clear plastic, like it kind of was on the original, even if it was like smoky like that still. The black, to me, is sitting too low contrast to really make him feel like he has his spot in the ranks. I honestly can't quite tell if that little bit in his head is a different paint app or if it's just shining. I keep looking in different lights. I think it's painted. I think it's painted silver, but it could just be cool shine. I don't know. It's a good looking mug. You know, other than that, most of his deco is what you'd expect. Silver with black accents and gold. It is nice. There's like the metallic molded grey plastic, and then there are some bits where it's a more high sheen, like pure silver kind of plastic. Well, paint, I assume. It'd be paint, obviously. But it does go a long way in the right lighting to just adding some variation to the sculpt. Gold booties. Articulation wise, he has, you know, what would be a whole 180 for his arms, 360 even, if you will. Yeah, obviously. But his wings will get in the way. But most people can't reach back further than that anyway. His arms also have a bicep swivel, which is quite tight on this one. He's got like that kind of sort of doubly elbowy business, so he can almost get all the way around. That's one thing that I don't like on these Dinobots in general, really, to be honest. The fact that, like, when you do have that arm fully bent, this is a lot of empty space. I would have been okay with this kind of being clipped away, one less of these. So this could have been, like, at least a semicircle to fill it out the tiniest bit. Like, that looks odd, right? No one expects an arm to join from there. Then he's got wrist swivel. And have a look. There's absolutely nothing hollow about these ham hocks. Articulation on that head, it's not actually on a bowl joint, I don't think. It just swivels. But with the way his neck works, he can look up, and I find that that's almost more important than anything else, because that gives you a really good crouch, like attacking stance. He has a waist swivel, which can go all the way around. Ha-cha-cha! He's got hip pieces with, I guess, a universal at the top with a thigh swivel up there, and then quite a good knee, given how big those Uggs are. At the feet, bing, ankle tilt. And again, just, I don't know, this is all space that sort of fairly gets filled up with other things, but I don't know. I always wish there was just some kind of bump, something just to fill in where the ankles join, just the tiniest bit. But, you know, they're there, and that's awesome. Because from most angles, they just look dope. And it is all sculpted in there, so I'll give them that. So now seems like a pretty good time as well to mention a couple of QC tolerancy issues that I'm hoping are just limited to mine for all of y'all's sake. So the way mine was packaged in the box, the way it was tied in had these pieces really quite twisted, so that as he was coming out, his wings were already detached, even though it didn't seem like they were supposed to be. So after a couple of transformations, this piece is more or less straightened out, but at first on both sides it was really quite warped. So if that's the case with yours, let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious about that. It has corrected itself. Like, this is a really quite a soft piece of plastic, and so after a couple of transformations and him hanging out in dino mode for a little bit, it has straightened these out. But yeah, the other area where mine is having some issues is these leg tolerances are very, very weak. Same with those knees. It's a soft ratchet, but it's a very soft ratchet. It doesn't take much for the weight of the leg itself just to send it all the way down. The problem with these two tolerances being so weak is that he's a very top-heavy boy. So there will be times where you're trying to pose him out and you're like, oh, Nope. Okay, what if I just... Oh, no. Okay, so he's standing there and... Oh, you can, with a little bit of mucking about and positioning and things, most of the time get him to find somewhere agreeable. The ankle tilts help with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one that just, of his own volition one day, gravity will have its way with him and he'll take a whole display with him. When it comes to his accessories, it's almost more interesting what he didn't come with. So this is the first of these Dinobots that hasn't come with a tiny little sidekick, like a vintage Ninja Turtle. All in one color, barely moving. Sounds on point. Actually, thinking of them like the Ninja Turtle sidekicks almost makes me like them more, but I'd like a sword a whole lot more. Honestly, I don't think there's any way they're not going to give us the swords with these guys at some point. I think it'll either be a whole bunch of swords that comes with a Voyager-sized swoop to make him a leader class price point, or the swords will be added incentive to force you to buy the inevitable G2 repaints. Because what else can they use these molds for? It's got to be expensive doing just fresh tooling for all these dudes that you can't really use again. It's not like there's any real shortage of Transformer swords around the place. I've found he looks pretty cool with Iaconus' sword, because it's nice and broad. He also looks really cool with the talking Optimus Prime sword. We just get this big honking gun. And it is a great big honking gun. I do like that it has some gold accents on it to lean into the Dinobot of it all. Having it out in front of him, it does, you know, make him that little bit more interesting and help him stand out against the other two. But, that's it. So I think all of that extra accessory plastic must have gone in to that Dino mode. Tell you what, this transformation is a wild scene.
This is weird, wild stuff.
First, twist both hands and fold them down inside. Twist the arms. Separate the chest, fold in the head. Then, twist it around. Fold the wings out. Arms up. Flip them around and out. Then, fold up the toe. This is pretty nutso, this part. It's crazy. So, untab the tail and just kind of leave it there for a second. Fold up this piece and then fold it out from the side. Flip that up, down, out. Flip the waist. And get that into position like that, and then you're trying to lock this down inside there. Fold these pieces up. All this business is actually what's going to create his back half. What sort of normally becomes his back half is under here. So there's these fold out bits that will help finish him off and cover that chest. God, those bits can be such a pain to get. There, finally, that's all finally together. Like that. Then, with these out of the way, collapse those wings down on themselves to fill out the other half of his back. To give them the bojangle they need to get through. Then lastly, you just use the neck to finish it off and plug it all into place. Now, I know it's a little bit unorthodox for me to get into transformation before I start the comparisons, but look at this thing, would you? I mean, aside from the strange hollowness underneath and the fact that they've faked this bit up here for some reason to give him like a real low dragon pouch, he just looks so good. You get more of the paint apps. He's got kind of all the articulation you could really ask for. No bend in these legs, but it's got a good tilt, so he can still throw all kinds of shapes. Then this head is on a pretty good... It doesn't super like to stay in. The tolerances are a little off on mine, but it's like a strong ratchet there, so you can get into position and then leave it. His head goes back and forwards. His mouth opens, and you can twist that head. Oh yeah. So he can look and bite and look. Looking at this just makes my heart go.
Stomp your feet like a Brontosaurus. Your feet like a Brontosaurus. Stomp your feet, stomp your feet, stomp
The real reason that we're rescheduling comparisons is because I couldn't honestly wait any longer to do this. Oh, I can't believe my hunger. I want it so bad I can taste it. It drives me mad to see it wasted when I need it so bad that it's burning me. I'm hungry. Apologies, but I just don't think I could have held that in a second longer than I did. But like, this is what it's all about, right? These three. Hopefully to be 5. So he does have, as you saw, a tab where you can attach blast effects, but for my money, it's mounted at a slightly off angle, so you can't fit some of the bigger pieces in. If that had been freewheeling and fancy free, then you probably could have got a bigger range out of what he was, you know, throwing out. But it's there, and I'm grateful. Also, in what universe does Sludge have front teeth, but Grimlock doesn't? Weird, right? This is, honestly, it's doing what I need it to do. Some tail articulation maybe would have been nice, because he does often throw that, you know, Bronto booty up at ya. But it's not necessary, especially when they gave quite a bit of articulation here. The only thing that would have been nice if this had been a slightly bigger piece, because then maybe you could have had some, you know, clockwise, anti-clockwise on that neck instead of just up, down, twist.
It's drinking the water!
Anyway, that's enough gushing. Let's go ahead and have a look at some robot mode comparisons, shall we? Oh, that's what it's all about, right? That's what dreams are made out of. I mean, he might be the plainest all by his lonesome, but once you start getting the band back together, the cheerleader effect does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I always like how in the kind of Transformers fiction, they try and be like, "A problem too big to solve? Call in the wreckers." I'd be like, are the Dinobots available by chance? Just by way of another quick comparison, here he is alongside Optimus and Wheeljack. Because I feel contractually obligated to when able to, here he is next to his G1 self. Oddly enough, he also toppled backwards. Maybe it's just G1 accuracy. Diddle-diddle-dee. And just because I can, here he is next to his Giga Power version. So, is Sludge the must-have bot of the quarter? Well look, if you've locked in on the other two, there's no scenario where you're not picking up Sludge, right? You're just not. And if you do happen to pick up Sludge first, you're more than likely to backfill and get the rest, right? It's a package deal. Right? I mean, we're pretty well locked into several years and several $100s to finish out this set, all in all, and I'm all about it. So I must admit, he is probably the plainest to look at out of the 3 so far, and he does have the most QC tolerance issues, but I don't think it matters once you start putting together that Dinobot lineup. I mean, we've got the original 3 right here. So what do we think, my Dino dudes? Are you in a hurry to go out and add this bad boy to your roster? Let me know in the comments below. This is a good thing, right? These leader guys, and we got confirmation the other day that they're gonna do them all, they say, eventually in some capacity. Whoop whoop! Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed it, show someone. Let's grow this thing. Yeah. Think about it. I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.